for me, my reality is like crumbling, and this family is driving me fucking. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I hope everyone is okay, and I hope everyone's having a productive weekend, and it is officially May. So, with that being said, it's about to literally be a year for my channel, and I just wanted to say congratulations, even though it's not a year yet. It's actually next Monday coming up, May 11th, and I'm gonna do a surprise, so you guys gotta tune in to watch that. But for today's video, I'm coming to you guys with, excuse me, a girl talk. So sorry fellas, if you're watching this, you might want to click out. So before I get into it, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, and you check out my Instagram handle to the side. Okay ladies, so for today's topic is pretty much just girl talk and why it's so important to love yourself, and just many other things that I was feeling during the week. So let's just get into why it's so important to love yourself. Boom. So it's really important to love yourself because you will end up in so many situations that you don't need to be in. I feel like I got a dose of if I really love myself over the past week and weekend, simply because I was put in like two situations where it required me to either grow or stay the same. Now I really don't want to talk about the situation just because I feel like those two people were like really important in my life, and it's just a shame how we had to separate and grow apart. So I felt like I could either stay with them or I could either just love them from a distance. And sometimes when you love people from a distance, they actually grow and they turn out to be like a better person, and they get to see their mistakes and this and that and the third. So that was just one of the trials and tribulations I had to face over the week. Which is why I feel like if you love yourself a little more, you wouldn't really feel so bad when you leave the person that wasn't really growing or doing you right and this and that and the third. So I guess I still have some more loving myself to do, which I don't feel like it really happens overnight. I feel like when it comes to loving yourself, it's like for eternity basically. Loving yourself is never ending job. Like, it's something that I feel like we have to do and continue to work on as we get older, and probably till the day we die. So that's just something that we have to get comfortable doing, so we won't put ourselves in situations that we know is right, and when we make the decision it makes us feel very uncomfortable. Because I used to be that person, and I feel like that's still a trait of mine that's like a downfall, and that kind of like pulls me back instead of moving me forward. Because if you're my friend and I consider you like a friend for multiple years, and we link up and I introduce you to my family and stuff, I feel like I don't hold the people that I care about to a normal standard. Like, I feel like it's almost in a weird way like my responsibility to make sure that you are the best person that you are, and that you don't get lazy and you don't get comfortable, and not coming to realize that sometimes you meet people on a journey that's not the journey that you're going on. So for me, it gets a little frustrating, and it's like, how do you find the balance? Like, how do you find the balance without it like clashing or it becoming like, well, deuces, I gotta leave you and this is where it ends? Like, for me, I feel like I will fight to my very last end just to make sure you see what I see. It's so weird. It's like I can see other people's potential before they see it for themselves. And it's almost 100% of the time, like, when I get to that fed up point and I get tired, that's when the person decides to be their full potential, which sucks, because I feel like it should never get like that in a relationship with anybody, to the point where you're so fed up and you're just like, you know what, well, I have to make the decision and it's time for me to move on. And I felt like when I had to make that decision over the past week, it was really very hard for me and like very traumatizing, and it should have not been, because it's like, you tried with the person for so much, and it's just like time and time after again, it was just like they just wasn't there. Like, that's that was the end of the road. Like that was the end of the journey. I guess it was more so just to make the other person realize, like, you come into their life and you be like, hey, this person brings out this side of you, so maybe you should work on towards being that person mixed with who you really are, but just be the better version of you. So it's just like, how much, excuse me, how much do you sacrifice your wealth and health and personal growing just to make sure the other person is on the standard of where you think they should be? And it's just like, sometimes you just have to be like, well, you know what, that's enough, and I wish you the best, and I love you from a distance. So like, yeah, so I feel like that's why loving yourself is very important, because like I keep saying, it would have never felt any real type of way or bad. I don't know, it just would have never felt, like eerie or like disappointing or let down. But I think that's more so because when you've been friends with somebody for such a long time and you guys know the ins and out of each other and they let you down, it hurts. Like, I'm human at the end of the day. So it's just like, shit happens, you let go and you move on. And it's just like, you know, maybe 5, 10 years from now it'll be a little different. It'll be better. So that was one thing I wanted to talk about in girl talk. Another thing I wanted to talk about is growth too. Yeah, growth. I feel like a lot of people are comfortable just staying the same person and they never want to grow. And that, I don't know why, but it always makes me so mad. It just seems like nobody wants to grow, and it's just annoying because it's like, once upon a time maybe you was that person too where you didn't want to grow and this and that and the third, but then you got it on track, you grew up and you matured, and you was like, well, I don't have to be this type of person, so I know it's a better version of me out there waiting to be developed and for everybody to see, and this and that and the third. So when you're doing all of that and you're taking the proper precautions and the people around you are still staying stagnant, it's just like, what do you do? It's like, especially when you feel like you're in a position where you really can't do anything about it. It's just like, what do you do? What do you guys do? Let me know down below. Like, what do you do? Do you just give up on love? Do you walk away? Do you love them from a distance? But for how long? Like, what if they're your family members? Like, I feel like that's the hardest one, when it's like your family member. Oh, yeah. That specifically is the hardest one for me, because it's like, okay, sometimes it's like your parents come from a generation where they weren't taught a certain thing and it was mostly based off of instincts on just how to survive, not how to deal with your emotions, and this and that and the third. And then it's like this generation that I'm born into, it's like we were taught that our mental health was important over anything. Like, being okay in the mind is, how you say? Yeah, being okay in the mind leads to a positive and healthy lifestyle, versus them back in the day where it was just like they had to go to work, they had to feed their families, and they had to take care of themselves at the same time. So it's like, how do you combine the two? It is very upsetting because I find myself going through that a lot with me Marjorie, and it's just like, for her, I guess I could see where it's like, it would feel like you're attacking her, but you're not really attacking her. And for me, it's just like, well, I'm trying to get you to see it this way so you can unlearn certain habits that you learned from back in the day. Versus, if it relates to you guys too, how do you help them see that the habits that they grew up in were toxic and it wasn't good for their mental health, versus how we deal with it now, and we go to therapy, we actually talk about it, and we don't carry it around and this and that and the third, without them feeling like you're trying to break them down or making them feel like they're the bad parent. Like, it's just driving me insane so far. And that's what I'm realizing in this whole quarantine, which is just like, sometimes your parents can really be in the wrong too. But it's just so hard for them to admit their wrongs, because I guess a part of them feels like they failed as a parent, but that's not the case, because it's like, you can still learn and become a better parent. Like, you're never a failure, especially if the way you grew up is just basically the way you knew. Like, it wasn't no wrong or right way. Like, but I feel like you can either take the stuff that you learned and like look at it and be like, well, hey, I don't want to bring this into my upbringing when I have my own children, so let me go and seek help. But it's just frustrating when it's like, no, I'm right and you're wrong. This is how I was raised, and you can either take it or leave it. And it's just like, it's a defeat. So that's why I'm just like, I don't really know what to do, what to say, or how to go about that situation, especially because it's like very touchy. Where do you draw the line? Like, how do you go about handling that? It's just a very touchy situation all around because it's like a part of you feels misunderstood, and then the other part of you feels like you're being too hard on them, and then it's like, well, like I said earlier in the video, you want the people around you to be great. You never want them to be so comfortable in their ways that they don't see like there's room for improvement. So it's like a part of me feels like I'm pushing too hard, and then the other part of me feels like, well, I'm not doing it hard enough. And then it's just a part of me that just is like, well, fuck it, man, like just move the fuck out and go about your life. But I feel like doing so will cause like some type of resentment. So I'm just really stuck in that aspect too. And it's just like, I don't know, man. I feel like I've come a very long way. And I feel like nobody else, sometimes, the people that I love don't want to grow up. Not grow up, they don't want to take that step too. Like, they just are really comfortable being themselves. And it hurts because it's like, those are your parents, those are your loved ones, those are your friends, those are your people that you know that will always be in your life forever. And it's just like when you elevate and you open up your third eye, or you just be more acceptable to growing, it's just like, damn, man, like a lot of people around you still have a lot of growing to do. So that's where I feel like I'm at a point. I'm just at a standstill with like friends in certain bit. Well, not, I can't even say friends. It was just more so boys and family, man. And it's just very, makes me feel very sad. I just feel overall that like that's really a hard pill to swallow when, because you know, growing up, you know, you feel like your parents is your heroes, and you feel like they can't do no wrong. Or I, sorry, and it's just like when you grow older, you see like they had some trauma that they should have dealt with too, or like at least explain to us as we get older. And it's just like, it's sad because it's like they have a lot of open wounds that they refuse to heal in some cases. I feel like, especially with particular in the black community. I don't know about any other community because I'm just black, so I feel like they're just told to like repress their emotions a lot and just like make sure your family can eat and make sure they're well taken care of. And I feel like that's why it's like such a strain for some relationships when it comes to parents and their kids, is because like the kids of this generation, like I said before, we are taking the proper steps to make sure if we decide to have kids somehow further down the line, to not carry how that trauma, to that lack of love or whatever it is, into raising our children. And I feel like when you try to get your parents on board to that same extent, it's a struggle. It's a tug of war, and it's just really hard. And it's just like I was saying, how do you find that balance? How do you set those boundaries? How do you talk to them without feeling angry, or like somehow down the line it leads up to resentment? It's like, where do you go from there? And it's just, that's just my personal struggle that I'm finding now. Like, I've been going to therapy for about like 3-4 years now, or maybe 5, could be longer. And it's just like I had to learn so many I had to learn so many unrealistic ways that I was taught. I had to learn how to express myself. I had to learn how to, it's okay to have feelings. I had to learn how to like acknowledge that I'm a little bit different than everybody else. I had to unlearn a lot of things and learn things about myself as well to be a better person for myself per se. And it's just like, because I did the work, I feel like those around me should do the work too, because it's like we all are here to be our best selves, not just mediocre. I don't feel like nobody was put on this earth just to be mediocre. Like, I feel like there's certain people that come in your life that help you either grow or mirror you, or especially mirror you meaning like wherever at in your life, like that when you look at them, they are the same exact thing. And I feel like it's only two things you can do from that. You can either grow or you cannot acknowledge it. And I feel like that's why a lot of people just like kind of stay to themselves or like just kind of play it safe, and it's just like the same thing happens over and over and over again. And then sometimes people always like to say it's their environment. Like you could come from a shitty environment and become like a millionaire, a motivational speaker. Like so many positive things could come out from coming out of a fucked up environment. I just feel like no one person should stay the same. And I feel like that's really my downfall. And I really feel like that's why it's something bigger in me than just being a regular or just doing regular things. Like I never really even like regular to me, I never did anything regular in my life. Like if you know me, like me doing anything regular is just out of the norm to me. It's just like, hmm? And I'm not saying that to anybody who decided like to have a regular lifestyle, regular 9 to 5, this and that and third. Like more power to you. Good. That's if that works well for you, then you keep doing that. Pat yourself on the back, cause I can't do it personally. I'm always getting in trouble in 9 to 5s or losing my shit, or I end up quitting. Like I don't really do well with people talking to me any type of way or telling me what they're gonna do when we can do the same thing. That just really doesn't sit well for me. So like more power to you. But back to what I was saying, I just feel like it's time to pull the safety blanket from over yourself and just be the best version of you. Yeah, so far that was excuse me. That was loving yourself, growth, and what else did I want to speak on? Yeah, I feel like those were just really like the main two things that were really stressing me out. Not stressing me out, but just has really been brought to my attention when it comes to quarantine. Cause like I don't know about anybody else, but this quarantine for me is more of a realization of how far as a person I've come. I know I say that, but I never take a chance to sit back and look at how far I've come, and I never acknowledge it because I'm always on to the next thing. I was telling somebody, a friend of mine the other day, that like that's one of my problems too. Like I can never really just enjoy the moment, and I want to be more open to like just enjoying the moment where I'm at and how far I've come, but I still have more to go. So that's what I was saying. Quarantine, yeah, it has really opened my eyes to a lot of things. Like, there's so much things to do. I feel like the people around me, I love them to death, and I don't want them to change. That's not the point of this video. Like, I don't want nobody to like think I'm trying to like change the people or nothing. I just want them to fully open up themselves, fully unlearn certain things, and fully take more accountability. Because when you feel like you're the one taking accountability, me per se, you kind of feel like it's a burden on your shoulder. Like sometimes I feel like I was sent to break generational curses. That is not an easy job. I don't even know. I don't even feel like I personally took that job. I just feel like it was just brought upon me, and that's why I just feel things so heavily and so emotionally and so deeply. Because it's like we can't go on doing the same thing. Not doing. We just can't keep doing the same thing that our parents were taught, and then that we were passed on to, and then bring it into the next generation. I feel like that's absolutely not the way to go at all, and it just really bothers me. So it kind of feels like it's my duty to make sure that doesn't happen, especially for my family and my household anyway. So it's a tough job, but I feel like I'm the one to break it. So I'm gonna thug that one out and just you know just see where it goes. But yeah, so growth and loving yourself are really the two main things that I have realized during quarantine, that I feel like I still have so much to do, but I'm growing and achieving that per se. Quarantine is also making me realize that I'm not as close as I thought I was to everybody in my household, which kind of hurts saying out loud because you like to think you're close to everybody, but I feel like the journey that it's leading me to, I feel like I had to take away the definition of close that was raised upon me and like taught, if that's making sense, to the new definition of close that I'm discovering for myself. So it's kind of like to relearn everybody. I have to relearn things that make them tick, that don't make them tick, the ins and outs, how their communication style is, how they work, what makes them upset, what makes them happy, their love language, their communication style. So it's just like a lot to do. I have faith that it's gonna work out because we're in quarantine for I don't know how longer, but I feel like Like this will only make us stronger and better. So, yeah, I just really felt the need to come to you guys to talk to you about that because it was really weighing heavy on my mind, and it was something I felt I needed to get off because I always like to like hold certain things that's like really deep to me to myself. But like I said, I'm not doing that anymore, and I'm like working on letting things go because it could be somebody that's watching this video that might be going through the same thing. Everything in quarantine is not bubbly perfect. I feel like quarantine is popping my reality, and I have to open my eyes to the shit that's really going on around me, which is scary at times, but it is what it is. It's like either you're gonna face it or you're gonna run from it. And I'm not a quitter, and I'm gonna face it, and I'm gonna go through all the emotions that I have to go through to come out on top stronger, better, and wiser. It's like I'm the knight sharp in armor for generational curses. So it's like I was sent to break it. So I gotta do what I gotta do. Just really hope this video helps somebody because I see a lot of people in quarantine like having fun with their families and this and that and the third. And it might not even be the case, it might just be for show or whatever. But for me, my reality is like crumbling, and this family is driving me insane. And I'm learning some things that I never thought I would learn. So this is just opening my reality, and this is just one more thing I have to crush on my journey. So I hope this helps somebody, and I hope you guys like this video, and make sure you give it a thumbs up, like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!